In this lesson, we're going to learn how to start Eclipse, which is going to be the environment that we do our programming in, and write our first program. Our first program is going to be called Hello World, and it's simply going to print the message Hello World onto the screen. That's quite often the first program that you learn to write whenever you learn a new programming language. So the first step is going to be to start Eclipse. Eclipse, the current version of Eclipse that we're using looks like this down here. I think that's supposed to be a moon kind of covering up the sun a little bit. And this is Eclipse version Oxygen. If you use a different version of Eclipse, it should be almost the same with some small differences that won't make a huge difference to what we're doing in this class. Now, when you start Eclipse the very first time, if someone else has used your computer, to run Eclipse, you might have some different things over here. There might be things in the middle of the screen. But to set this up, what we're going to do first is switch to a new workspace. So you go up to the File menu, and you'll click on File, switch Workspace, Other, and then you'll give it a name. What I'd like you to use for this class is to add to the end of Eclipse-Workspace a dash and then your initials. So I'll put -GL and then click Launch. And then Eclipse will close and restart. And when it does, it'll be ready for us to use. So like I said, we're using the Oxygen version of Eclipse, but it doesn't matter if you use a more recent version or even an older version. Everything should work pretty much the same. What we're going to do today is create a Hello World application. And this is a guided walkthrough, so it's going to give us a list of steps to do this. As you can see on the right side of the screen, there's some cheat sheets, and we're going to go through the steps in the cheat sheets to create this program called Hello World, and we'll run it. Uh, so if at any time you need help, um, there are question marks and you can click on those to get some help. So our first step is to double check and make sure that we're in the Java perspective. So you'll go up to the main menu, you'll click Window, which is just outside of what I'm recording, and go down to Perspective and click Open Perspective. Now, Java is not listed because that's the perspective that we're in. If you switch to Java browsing, that's a different arrangement of all the different things on the screen, but that's not the one that we want. We'll go back up here to click on Window, Perspective, Open Perspective Java. If you're not in Java, switch to Java. If you're already in Java, don't worry about it. Everything's fine. If the windows ever don't look correct and you want to get everything looking the way that it's supposed to, you can always go up to Window, Perspective, and click Reset Perspective. And that will set whatever perspective you're in back to the defaults. So I can click Yes, it'll arrange everything correctly. But if at some point I accidentally change some of these things, get rid of my package or get rid of some of these other things, and I want to put it back the way it's supposed to, simply go up to Window, Perspective, Reset Perspective, and say yes. You'll get your Package Explorer here. You'll get the windows down here and in the middle the way they're supposed to be. So our first step is going to be to create a Java project. And I want to change the direction slightly. We are going to click New Java Project, but I don't want you to use Hello World for the project name. We're going to name it just slightly different for our first set of lessons, which is going to be on lessons A1 through A7. I'd like you to create one project to do those first 7 lessons in. So we will go up to New Java Project, which you can see all your new things right here. If you click the down arrow, New Java Project. But I'd like you to use the names lessons 01 underscore 07 to store those first 7 lessons. Use the default location, leave the rest of these things the same. You can click Finish. And you'll see over here, there's a folder with a J on it that says lessons 01 through 07. That's where we're going to create um, our programs. So step 2 is to create your Hello World class. And so a class is what Java calls, what you probably have called a program up to this point. So a class is where you put all your information about how to do things. And so we're going to, like it says, use the words hello world for the name. So again, we'll click on this new. This time we'll click class. And notice that I have this highlighted. So the source folder is going to be the project name slash src for source. The package you can leave blank. It's just going to use the default package. Come down here and you'll put hello world. And that has to be all one word, no spaces. Usually in Java, we take the second, if there's multiple words, we leave the space out, but we capitalize the next word, and that's called camel case. And then the other thing we want to make sure that we do is we want to create a public static void main. That says that's the main program. That's where when we try to run this, it will look for something that says public static void main, and that's where the program is going to start doing things. You can leave everything else the same on here and just click finish. And in the middle, you can see this is our program. Uh, Right now, it's not going to do anything. If we ran it, it would run correctly, but since it's blank, nothing's going to happen. The next step is to add a print statement. So we're going to go to the main method. Now the main method starts right after the word main at this curly brace, and it ends at this curly brace. And so anytime we want to do something in Java, we're going to put it between those curly braces inside the main. So the statement that we're going to use is right here, and we can highlight this and copy and paste it, or we could type it in. Oops, it didn't highlight and paste, so I'm going to type it in. System.out.println parentheses, and then inside the parentheses, quotation marks, hello world, exclamation point. And then we'll go close the quotation marks, close the parentheses, and then we'll add a semicolon. Every line in Java is, almost every line in Java is going to end in a semicolon. So we will run our file, or we can save it with the little icon that looks like a diskette. You can save it. If there were any errors in what we did, there would be a red X over here. So for example, if I didn't put a capital S for system, it will put a red X over here saying that there's a problem. If I hover over it, it'll say system cannot be resolved. It doesn't know what the word system means with lowercase. If I change it to a capital S, then it knows what it means. All the error messages go away. To run our program, so right click on your class in the package explorer. So you can right click here and you can, like it says there, you can do run as Java application. And so all the way down here is run as Java application. And it'll say, what do you want to save? Well, I want to save hello world.java. If you click always save resources, it won't ask you this every time. You can click OK. And it launched this program. And what this program told it to do was come down to the console and print hello world. So it worked great. Congratulations, we've run our first one. If you want to run it again, once you've run something, if you wanted to run it again, you can click the green arrow up here and run hello world. It'll print hello world. If I want to say something else other than hello world, I could say hello world. This is George's hello world class, and I can run it again. Now it says hello world. This is George's hello world class. So I can tell it to do anything I want. If you come back to our assignment, what you're going to do is go through those steps. So we follow the directions on the cheat sheets tab. What was the name of the Java project that I asked you to do? You'll type that in this box. What was the name of your new Java class? You'll put that in this box. If you followed the directions and created a main, you can type yes here. What was that line that told the computer to print? That was our system.out.println. And then I'd like you to copy the program into this box and put it there. So this was what we did first was we created a skeleton or the framework that every program is going to be based on. So you'll always start out with something that looks like this: public class, the name of your class, public static main. If you ever forget to create one, you could always come back to this program and create a new one, or and copy this to create a new one. So you'll use that over and over again. Right. Um, the next thing that you're going to do is change the parentheses, the things inside the parentheses, to follow the directions here. So, for example, if you change to Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, one thing that you're going to run into if you copy and paste instead of typing things in is that in Google, they use smart quotes. In Java, smart quotes cannot be used. So you may have to change quotes to be not smart quotes if you use them. And now we can run the program again. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Once you've gotten this far, we're not going to be using the cheat sheets, so you can close that. We're also not going to be using the task list or the outline right now. We may use those later in the class. So you can also close those two so you get a little bigger window. Like I said before, if you'd like to get those things back, you can always go up to Window, Perspective, and reset the perspective. It'll put the task list and the outline back. So try a couple other things that are listed here. At least one of these is probably going to surprise you a little bit. It might not give you the results that you expected. Notice on the first two you're using quotes. On 3 and 4 and 5 you're not using quotes. So if you put this inside the parentheses, but you get rid of the quotes and run it, it's actually going to do that math for you and tell you that 25 divided by 5 is 5. So try the rest of those, see what happens, right? Once you've done that, we're going to modify the main to actually print two things in a row instead of just one. So once you print the first thing in here, we said, hello world. We can do another line just like that. It's mad over here. You can see the red X because I forgot to close my quotation marks. I can go down to another line, system.out.println, and say hello again. And if I run that, it'll print both hello world and hello again. So what is this println doing here? What this println actually does is it prints, and then because there's a ln, it goes to a new line to print the next code. So what would happen if we change this first one to just say print instead of println? There's no errors, so the computer knows what we're talking about. Let's run it and see what happens. It did hello world, and then instead of going to a new line, it did hello again right on the very same line. Sometimes we'll want to use print if we want to print multiple things on the same line. Most of the time we use println because each time we print, we want to go down to a new line. And if you've noticed, each time if I leave the cursor over something, Java thinks, or Eclipse thinks that I want to know more about that kind of thing. So there are times where if you hover over things, it will try to give you information about the thing that you are hovering over. Right. So put those in, tell me what happened when you ran those. If you got error messages, either fix them and if you can't figure it out, let me know. Right. One other thing is that a lot of times we want to put information in our program that tells about what the program is for, or who wrote the program. So we are going to put that kind of information at the beginning of every program that we write. So here's public class hello world. I'm going to put a slash slash, which means ignore the rest of this line to Java. This is for people to read. I'm going to write a program to print hello world to the console. And then slash slash author, and I'm going to put my name. So that's something that you should do every time you write a program, is tell what the program is for and who wrote it. Now, when you do a lot of, if we were also going to put information about the date and some other things, sometimes it gets a little tedious to continue putting the slash slash in there. So there's actually a shortcut for multi-line remarks or multi-line comments. And as it says here, that's to do a slash star and then hit return. This comment ends with the star slash. So every comment between the slash star and the star slash is going to um, be ignored by Java. So I can put those same things I did before. Program to print hello world to the console. And notice it automatically put a star on the next line. That star is not required, but it kind of helps visually for people to see what things are doing. And I could put the date. I could put other information if I wanted to. And then the computer is going to skip that whenever it runs our program. So your task is going to be to make a new class called From Me to You. And what this class is going to do, you're not going to copy my name or when this date, but you are going to start with a public class From Me to You program. So make a new class like we did before. Call it From Me to You. Make sure it has a main. And then inside the curly braces, you're going to supply the code that will do this on the screen. And when you're done, you'll paste the code in this box, take a screenshot of the results or the console, and put it in this screenshot box. And that's the first lesson.